Right now, we're joined by former coach of the Giants, Tiki's former head coach, and his son is getting a crack now. Wow, big, I would say big shoes to fill, but, I mean, Jim, as long as the Rams score 10 points, your son's going to be getting a 5-year extension.
Yeah, that's amazing, but they've really struggled on offense. Really has.
Yeah, no, they certainly have.
Maybe he can get some confidence back in him and enthusiasm and all that stuff, and they can get on the winning track.
Hey, Coach, it's good. It's good to have you on, and obviously it's been a long time since we've been friends and colleagues, and I don't even know how to put the relationship, but we're tight. But I wonder, and I've known your son because he's my age since he was in high school. What's his mindset taking over this responsibility? Because it's a big one, and I don't know if he was expecting it.
No, I don't think he was expecting it. John's the most low-key guy ever. He loves what he does. He's never out there, politicking for a job and all that. People give him jobs. They call him, and Jeff Fisher called him, and he went with him right away. But I think, he's the most humble guy I've ever been around. And I think that the organization looked at it and said, we've had 5 years of outstanding special teams. They've set a lot of records. They're even ranked high this year. And the players like him, and they said, that's the guy we got to go to.
Yeah, we talked yesterday, Jim, about this, and you talk about players liking their coach, and we're starting to hear some things about Jeff Fisher where it was just a lazy atmosphere, laissez-faire. I mean, I don't know how true those things are, but there's a point where players stop listening to a coach, and for whatever reason, it happens. What's different about your son, John? Because I know that the guys really enjoy him. I heard their kicker talking about how awesome he is as a coach and as a person.
Well, he has a lot of energy, and he's very positive. I've never heard him say a cuss word in his life. And I remember talking to him, and I think he's followed this, is that, the players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think he really exudes that with his players. They care. He doesn't scream and yell and cuss at them. Mm-hmm. He's always upbeat and enthusiastic, and I think it carries over to the players.
Interesting. So to Jim Fassel, former head coach of the Giants. Of course, he was with Tiki for a couple of years. I know Tiki has great respect for you. He always speaks very highly of you, Jim, whenever your name comes up. And if you can answer this, I don't know if it's even possible, but don't answer this necessarily as John's dad, but as a former NFL head coach and somebody who knows what he sees on the field. Were you surprised how long it took Jared Goff to actually play?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Tiki is one of my all-time favorite guys. He did a great job for me, and he was a great guy in the locker room, and I'll always respect that. As far as, I'm concerned with Jared Goff that they moved heavy to get the first pick and get him. And so I had seen him a little bit, but not a lot. So I thought, well, this is great. They got a first-round pick, or the first pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. And then when he didn't have a uniform the first game, he was inactive. And then he wasn't in playing. And I don't get into it with John. I leave him alone on that stuff. Okay. I don't voice my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I could not understand why this guy can't be out there playing quarterback. Something's wrong. And don't know.
And, Jim, you have experience doing this. For those who don't know, before Jim was head coach, he was obviously a quarterback coach, a coordinator, and you worked with John Elway. So you helped develop one of the best ever. What does it take to get a kid like that, if he is the wrong pick, up to speed? Because it feels like you should have just thrown him in, especially after the way the season kind of got all unhinged about week 4 or 5.
Well, I think the first thing that I've, with all the quarterbacks from Phil Simms, John Elway, Hostetler, Terry Collins, Boomer Esiason, and all the guys that coached, the priority was fundamentals. If a guy doesn't have the right fundamentals, you got to get him straight to get him to be able to drop easy. And, the one thing about Terry Collins, you were there with him, everybody said he had a long delivery and he was inaccurate. And when I looked at the tape on him, I said, I can change that in one day. That's not hard. But you got to change him to make him effective. And I really don't know about this guy, how high he can go. It looks to me like, when you're playing on a bad football team and you're trying to win games, He looks to me like he's got the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't throw the ball downfield very far. I mean, that's the one thing that I noticed. They don't. And then the DBs sit on the routes. So, they got to open the book for him a little bit and let him throw it down the field.
Jim, when you talk about tweaking somebody's throw motion, I don't think it's too dissimilar from tweaking a golf swing. You run the risk of having the subject become maybe too analytical and process things without letting the natural athleticism take over and just flow. So while I certainly believe you when you say you can fix somebody quickly, but not everybody's built the same way as an Elway or somebody else, where their brain gets in the way and it might not allow them to do what they need to do.
That's a great question. Great question. And that's where you got to have a simple solution. I'll tell you exactly what I did with Kerry Collins.
Okay.
Everybody said long delivery, and inaccurate. Okay, I got it. I saw that. Okay, so what I did was, when I said I can change that in a day, I took Kerry out on the field, just Kerry and I.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, here's a football. I'm going to time you in a 20-yard dash. Just carry the ball with two hands. That's all I ask.
What do you run, a 6'7"?
No, he ran. It was good.
Yeah.
I said, do it again. Okay, do it again. And he looked at me like funny, okay. I said, where did you carry the ball? And he ran with it on his chest, lower. And I said, why'd you carry it there? He said, well, it's comfortable. Well, then, when you drop back, drop it down and carry it in the same position you just ran a 20-yard dash in. What we're trying to do is make you fluid. But he would carry it up on his shoulder near his ear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't run a 20-yard dash carrying the ball there. So I didn't force him to do it. I just gave him the opportunity to carry it with two hands down at his chest, very fluid. And he goes, oh, that makes sense. And from that day on, he never carried it up by his ear.
Wow, that's an interesting. I never heard that. Jim Fassel with us here, of course. Tiki's former coach with the Giants, and Jim's son John is now in charge with the Rams, taking over for Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, Kerry did amazing things. I remember going to training camp and had seen him throw with his eyes shut these out routes, these 16-yard out routes to Amani, because the muscle memory got so good. But the difference between Kerry and I think Boomer and also John Elway, those guys were big and strong, and they physically fit the part. It looks like Jared Goff he's got a lot of ass to put on, Coach. Can he become a good quarterback, a viable quarterback that I think everybody expected him to be when he was drafted to Los Angeles, and the move and everything else that went along with it?
From what I've seen and what I've heard, I believe that. Now, I'm not going to sign a warrant on that thing because for me, I get a lot of calls that I do radio shows, and everybody wants to know about the quarterback. What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? Well, until I get to him and sit down and talk to him and put him on the field, I really am a little hesitant because to me it's more than all that. It's like when I went back to Denver Broncos. John Elway was not playing well. He had never been a 60% passer. And John and I go way back to his college days. And he came in the office the first day and he said, Jim, glad you're here. What's wrong with me? Have you seen me? I said, yeah, I've watched you on tape. What's wrong with me? I said, your fundamentals are terrible. Every time you drop back, you look different. And he said, when can we start? And I went right now with the fundamentals. But I knew who he was. And for me to work and evaluate a quarterback, I need to put him on the field.
Yeah.
That's interesting, too. Jim, I mean, why don't you come on the show more often? I love these stories, man. Jim Fassel, with us here on Tiki and Tierney. Let's be honest here, Coach. The whole Eric Dickerson, Jeff Fisher dilemma, soap opera, didn't do Jeff any wonders, any favors there. It looked pretty bad in the court of public opinion. People going to side with ED, there's no doubt. But as a former coach, listen, I don't think Jeff Fisher did a good job coaching at all. Matter of fact, I've been saying it for years. I've been very honest about that. But specific to what I'm bringing up here with ED, I was kind of with the coach on this because I thought Dickerson made it a little personal. How would you have handled something like that? A luminary of say, the Giants, whether it's LT or Sims or whomever, or Frank Gifford, may rest in peace, somebody like that. If they were so personal critiquing you, but yet they wanted the passes to hang and mingle, what would you have done with that, Coach?
Well, it's a hard question. I go down the sideline pregame, and I talked to Eric Dickerson ton of times. Jim Everett called me, talking about the situation. Jack Youngblood's called me a couple of times, and he's down in Florida, and all I try to do is keep the temperature low. Hey, listen, this is a tougher job than anybody can imagine, and it's just you do want your ex Hall of Fame, the Ram family, to support you.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think you can tone it down a little bit. But I understand with Eric Dickerson, he's got a job on the radio. He got a job, and you guys know better than I do.
Yep.
You've got to be out there, and you got to have an opinion, and you've got to point the finger if it's not going right.
Yeah, but Coach, then Jim, then don't get offended when somebody's not opening their arms to welcome you within a 15-foot proximity to the bench. That's my beef with Eric Dickerson.
That's true. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just trying to explain that he's got a job. Could he tone it down? Yeah, he could tone it down. Could he do this? Yeah, I could do that. It's a he said, she said. If they said it to him and then they said, no, you're not going to get any sideline tickets, is there a way that we could sit down and talk about this before it blows up?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Now, Coach, obviously your son is the son of a coach, so he knows and been around head coaching for a long time. You had a great run with us with the Giants for those 7 years. What has he learned from you, and what kind of head coach is he going to be? Because I don't know if he even knows the answer to that question.
No, I think so. The good thing is he's been around me for a long time. He's seen the ups and the downs and the great wins and the terrible losses and all that. So I think he got a lot of experience of you can't get too high and can't get too low. Okay, can't do that. And I think that's what John carries. I mean, if you lose a game, he'll bounce back, enthusiastic. Come on, guys, we got to go. He's not going to sit there and chew them out and cuss them out and this and that. That's not his style. It's not his style. And, he's the guy that, he just wants to be around the game and he loves it. Many times he's told me, Dad, he said, you told me, but you know what? I have never worked a day in my life. I may work 7 days a week and 18 hours a day and all that, but I've never worked a day in my life. I love what I do.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we know that you did as well, Coach. We appreciate you joining us, man. Nothing but love for me. You know that. And we need to stay in touch. Hopefully we talk to you soon.
Anytime. Love talking to you guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Be
You
good,
got
Coach.
it, pal.